Alright, so this is This Way the People News, one more time at it. Alrighty. Not attorney, not giving legal advice. I just hearsay, people. No more, no less, okay? So anything I say or do, take it with a grain of salt. That has no value. um, anyway, do your own research, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Use your Second Amendment and arm yourself with knowledge. Okay, never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to do that. Okay, so even though this is American jurisprudence that he's reading from, so subscribe to his channel because I can't, you know, copy his videos all the time. He needs subscribers, and I don't particularly care about how many subscribers I have. More of anything else, this is when I record these things just for my benefit, and not that I don't mind that you guys watch and go along with all this. It's just more along the lines for my benefit of me thinking outside the box. Okay. Um, I'll get to this a little bit on, but there's one thing I kind of disagree on. Remember, American jurisprudence is by these judges and all that kind of stuff. And how far do we really trust them? So even with American jurisprudence, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, a grain of salt, and still got to think outside the box. So I'm going to get to this, and we're going to describe a little bit of something back in here a little bit. Oh, by the way, since this was on pause and I did this, copy this is kind of what they talk about for a municipality, the lawsuits like suing cops or this and that here and there. Let's proceed forward.
And for the government itself, St. Louis versus Rapopnik. Section 27, criminal liability. A municipal corporation may, in a proper case, be subjected to a criminal prosecution. Thus, it has frequently been held that a municipality may be liable to indictment for failure to perform duties of a public nature, which are plainly enjoined by legislative act. As, for instance, allowing a
And let's pause right there. When they said that, right? Creature of the state. And, you know, it can apply to the people as well within the compounds of the constitutionality. Okay? It cannot be overriding the Constitution.
way which is bound to keep in repair to become defective and dangerous. In fact, it has been held that the only remedy against a municipal corporation for injurious consequences of its failure to exercise an imperative governmental function or of the negligence of officers or agents in the performance of public duty imposed upon it by law, whereby a public wrong has been done, is by indictment or presentment. Thus, a municipal corporation may be indicted for creating a nuisance or for allowing a nuisance to be maintained upon property which it owns or controls. But it cannot be prosecuted for failing to cause the abatement of a nuisance upon property within its jurisdiction, but owned and controlled by private parties. Let's read that again. But it cannot be prosecuted for failing to cause the abatement of a nuisance upon property within its jurisdiction, but owned and controlled by private parties, unless the abatement of such nuisances is expressly required by law. So unless the legislature has dictated that all grass be cut below a certain level, they cannot come cut your grass because they think there's a liability for them. There is not a liability for them. That is privately owned property that they have no authority to step onto. And Tate's case is a perfect example of this.
Let's stop right there, right? So far as I know, in Texas, right, I have not seen that the legislature passed, right? But they did pass, and I have not read it all the way through, but like your car on property and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think at one time um, whatever governor it was, right? I can't remember if it was Perry or this one we have now. Um, I can't remember his name, but uh, one of them passed a law saying that they can confiscate the car and all that kind of stuff. The question in this, y'all, is that we got to be aware of what part of the Constitution gives the legislature authority to say what can and cannot be considered junk or about your car or anything like that, because it's different property, right? And we're not really fighting it enough on our private cars as being private property. They just, I understand the title thing that some people bring out there, and that's fine. The problem is you got to challenge that and tell the state of Texas, for me, right? Where's your verifiable proof that you have title over my, let's just go with automobile, okay? I don't like saying automobile. I'll go with, where's your title with over my Ford or my Chevy, right? I don't like really using the automobile due to the driver's license trickery of words. But when you sit and think about it, it has to be within the guidelines of the constitutionality, right? Uh, like you said about the 12-inch grass. Well, that grass is my property. I own that grass. And my city has no authority over things that I actually own. Now, he'll say they're within reason and all that kind of stuff. Disagree with that, okay? If my neighbors have any issues, me and my neighbors go to court. They're the victims, right? And we had to work this out in court or come to me and see if we can compromise and give remedy to one another and all that kind of stuff. But the city itself should not have no authority, okay? And you guys, some of y'all may disagree, may agree, but right, if we give a little way a little for security, we give away a little our rights for security, then we don't deserve either one, right? And the reason why the founding fathers did this, they knew they would do this to us. They knew it. That's the reason why they spoke the words, right? So we got to keep on top of our rights and quit compromising for security, safety nets, and all that. We all know by now that the Supreme Court says cops are not there for our safety, right? So why are we investing in our officers if they're not there for our safety? It's a waste of money. And then they want to tax your property to pay them and give them all kinds of fancy things against you for something they don't even have to do. Okay? Look at Nuvali, right? They don't have to do it. I heard that there's some charges and all that, but if it gets up into the federal courts, I'm pretty sure that the officer is going to get off on that due to it's not their responsibility. The Supreme Court said that before. Okay? But I wanted to kind of bring this point up a little bit. So, most of us know nationwide 12-inch grass, and then the whole city comes unwound and decides to do this and this and this and this and this and this. Where's their dedicated authority from the state law or code? However you guys want to look at it. And with the state doing that, which constitution did they get that authority from? And seeing this is the problem we have today, right? We have to jump through all these loops when the Constitution right there, and all they have to do is obey it and protect us. That's their job, right? It's not to overwhelm us and tax us to death to us to be homeless, right? Homeless is not a right. Okay? Just saying. Um, Come find out with the Supreme Court. And I disagree even with that. Because the reason why I say that, y'all, when you sit and think about it, I consider the United States of America my home. I consider the state, wink, 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 the state uh, of Texas, which I go with the Republic of Texas, being my home. And on my said property, I have dominion over said property and have dominion over my said house. But the Texas is my home. The United States of America is my home. So, do that with what you wish. That's just my outlook, and I may come up with something else later on that. But at the present, the here and now, right, that is my standing.
Can a municipal corporation be convicted even where it has actually caused a nuisance? If the nuisance was the result of acts performed under its general powers in a reasonable way to protect the public health and safety. Section 27, criminal liability.
Protection of health and safety, right? When they did that, they confiscated so many constitutional rights. And again, they're going to have these codes administrative with health and safety. So you got to go through that. And then you got to challenge the constitutionality on that. See where these administrative actions is a big pain in the butt for us? Right? Because now you got to research all this. Then you got to research the statutes. Then you got to research the constitutionality. And in the state of Texas, we have over 400 constitutions now. You can't even get an attorney that knows all 400 of them. So how are you going to get remedy even with a good attorney? People.
Supplement. And that's all the footnotes for that. Next.
Let's go back a little bit on that.
Powers in a reasonable way to protect the public health and safety.
All right. Let's go with that because he's doing it pretty quickly. Footnote right there. Okay. And
Section 27, criminal liability supplement.
Some cases there. Let me clear that up. All right. Anyway, go back to his YouTube channel and subscribe to him because this YouTube channel itself is all about the laws, and they do interviews of people, pro se's, fighting all these things. Okay, these are not most of these people. Okay, let me scratch that. I have not really seen a lawyer being on here at all. These are mostly, and well, there is also for all of them is pro se's, and every single one of them is having problems for the courts and the judges and the claimant attorneys, prosecutors, all of them are actually operating outside of their own rules. Because they're actually, the pro se's are actually reading the laws. They are reading case laws and they put it on paperwork and they ignore it. And that's not their duty. All right? Anyway, this is Diesel Weed People News. Till next time. Bye, y'all.